The first translation of this module is something I picked out of a divorce forum. So this is the post that this person wrote, looking for advice or sympathy or whatever else it may be. And as you can see, it's quite long, but as always, we're going to take it step by step, and we're going to see if we can really go into the real world, analyze how people speak naturally in English, and see if we can achieve that same level in Spanish. Now, I've linked to all of these different translations so you can download them, so we won't bother reading through this in its entirety. Instead, we'll just take it piece by piece. The first sentence reads, "I never thought I would be in this situation. It seems most of the people on this forum believe that about themselves too." So let's look at the first bit here. I never thought I would be in this situation. So a nice tip for you is that whenever you come across the word never or always, that's always a trigger that's going to push you into a dot past. So here you might be tempted to go into a line past. Obviously the verb to think is pensar, and you might say nunca pensaba, because we're not really giving any like explicit time frame or point in time. So you might think that okay, it would be going then into a line past because we're not referring to any specific time, right? But in Spanish, this never, or if it was always, that is a trigger that is going to push you into a dot past. Okay, so I never, the word for never is nunca. So never I thought, right, would be the word order in Spanish. So we have nunca, and instead of pensaba, it would be pensé. So here we have a dot past, not a line past, not pensaba, because of this word never. Okay, now we have two things. We have the verb to be, so choosing between estar and ser, and we also have a would. So looking at the rest of the sentence, we have in this situation, and in a way, this is implying location. So again, you might be tempted to use ser here, but in this situation is referring to a kind of or a type of location. So this be is going to be estar, and then we need the ria to create the would. So I would be is going to be estaría. Like this, we have estar for the be and the ria sound for would be. So nunca pensé, and then that I would be. Nunca pensé que estaría, I would be. And this is easy. In this situation, this is situación, so it would be en esta because situación is the ion ending, right, which are all feminine words. Like this. En esta situación. Then it continues with, it seems most of the people on this forum believe that about themselves too. So it seems, we know that is parece. And we're going to put in que because that is implied. In English, we can say it seems most of the people on this forum, or we could say it seems that most of the people on this forum. Now, whenever that is implied in English, we're going to put it in Spanish. Even though you have the choice to leave it out in English, in Spanish you don't. You put it in. So it seems that parece que. Now this word most, we're going to have la mayoría, the majority of the people or most of the people. It's the same in Spanish. La mayoría, the majority of the people. That's how you say most of the people. And then of the people, de la gente. So gente is a feminine word and singular as well, which is important for later. And then on this forum would be en este foro. The word for forum in Spanish is foro. And masculine word, so we have este here. Now the next bit here, believed that about themselves too. This is tricky, right? So believed that about themselves too. This is a line in the past. We don't have the word never or always, and there's no specific time frame to it. So it's implying a line. In English, we would say were believing that about themselves too. Okay, but in English, we can treat it as a dot, but in Spanish we can't because there's no specific time frame given. So therefore, it's creating a line. And also, we're talking about something singular here. So the verb to believe is creer, like this. So we get this ia sound, creía, for believed. This word to, it would sound most natural if we put it in immediately after the verb here. And this word that is going to be eso. So we have, parece que la mayoría de la gente en este foro creía también eso. This is where, or why I said it was a bit tricky, because this type of feeling for Spanish only comes when you have a lot of contact with the language. This is how you would hear it spoken. This is how it sounds most natural. Now, you could put these words in a different order and still be understood, but it would sound forced. What I'm giving you here is the way it sounds most natural. Okay, about themselves. Well, about is sobre or de, so let's just use de, but you could use sobre as well. And themselves, we've already covered the word to here, right? Because we threw it up here at the front. So themselves would be ellos mismos, like that. So this would be the way, for me anyway, would sound most natural in Spanish. So, nunca pensé que estaría en esta situación. Parece que la mayoría de la gente en este foro creía también eso de ellos mismos. So it seems that the majority of the people on this forum were believing also that about themselves. Again, if you put también at the end, you would be perfectly understood. It wouldn't be a problem. Okay, but it would sound forced because it's not the way they would be used to hearing it from native speakers. So the way it sounds most natural is to throw it immediately after the verb up the front here. And in the past, we've seen lots of examples about that, right? Where we have some time frame here, today or yesterday or whatever it may be, and they're throwing it at the front of things rather than at the end like we do in English. It's just something that you have to get used to in Spanish.